I did not watch Twitch before I started streaming. I never watched Twitch.
Interesting, interesting.
It was something that my husband watched all the time religiously. And all of his friends, they would all watch the same streamers, and they all would say, oh, you know, this funny thing happened on so-and-so's stream and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to watch Gilmore Girls and okay.
Okay.
So, you know, so I knew nothing about Twitch before I started streaming.
Now,
and I feel like that's like illegal. It's illegal to say that.
No, I don't think that's illegal at all. I think, in fact, you still represent the vast majority of people in the year of the rabbit, or born in your particular year of the rabbit, or of our age group is what I mean to say.
Oh, okay.
Most people, the world that I came from prior to streaming was not a gaming centric world. In fact, it wasn't in any way even related to gaming, the world I came from. And so people who I'm friends with from that past life of mine, none of them knew what Twitch was. So I think that's quite common. What was your perception of it when your husband was watching it and talking about this and that thing? What was your overall perception of this thing, and how did you view it?
Honestly, whenever I'm confronted with something that I know nothing about, the first thing I do is I try to relate it to something else. And I was immediately brought back to AOL chat rooms. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Golly gee whiz, did I miss those babies. Right? Because you can be anybody. You can be anybody you want in the chat room. And that's what I thought when I walked in on him talking, and I was like, what? You don't talk like that. Who are you fooling? Come on.
That's interesting. So the way that you saw him communicating in chat sort of felt different to the real him that you know.
He was like way cooler in chat.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's pretty common.
Cool.
Myself included. I at least perceive myself in a different light when I'm in chat, because you can kind of. It's probably harder if you're a streamer, because people can see what you actually are at some point, so they can kind of call you on your BS. But if I'm in a random chat of someone who has no affiliation with my my stream, that's when I'll pretend to be cooler than I am.
Oh yeah.
It's quite liberating, actually. You can be who you want to be. Now, did you start by when you eventually decided you wanted to do this? Was it a process of watching some streams to understand it? Did you just jump straight in, like literally not watch anything before going live? What happened? How did it? Walk us through it.
The royal us.
Yes, us. The ethereal us.
The us that's here right now. Okay, so this is what happened. I decided, okay, I'm going to start streaming. So I bought, I read a couple articles on what you need to have in order to start streaming. Didn't watch any actual streams, though. Missed that lesson.
Nice.
Just that chapter was missing.
Nice.
So I bought all this stuff, and I didn't know, a lot of the times I rest on, well, you plug it in and it works, And then I didn't actually start streaming for maybe about a month or so later, I think, because there was a lot going on, and everything I read said the most important thing is to keep schedule, adhere to a schedule. And I was like, well, we're going to be here this time, and we're going to be here over there. Then, a week from now, we're going to be, so like, maybe now it's just not. And everyone just kept saying, just do it, just do it, just do it. And I was like, you don't understand. I need to keep a schedule. And so then just quite randomly one night,
fired it up. Just went live.
I didn't tell a soul.
Great.
I did not tell a single person.
I love that.
I just went live.
And how did you feel when you went live? Did you feel immediately comfortable? Was it a deer in headlights? Was it a, what am I doing? How do I go about this? Were you talking to yourself? I imagine if you told no one about it.
I would say it's all of those. It was a little bit of all of those things.
Mm,
Um, I have, I have a bit of a background in the performing arts, and
okay.
so it's a little easier for me, I think, to, perform,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's kind of what we're doing. We're regular people, you and me,
Mm-hmm.
but
Wait,
still,
wait, 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 what? Sorry,
all
continue.
right, I don't speak for you. I don't speak for you. I'm a regular person,
Okay.
but I'm not on all the time. I do not sparkle every minute of every day,
No, I'm
right?
rarely
Obviously,
on.
I am putting on a little bit of a performance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a little bit easier for me, especially when I attacked it that way. When I thought, hey, you know what? This isn't you. Okay, this is Mal Blue Eyes. Mal
This
Blue
is
Eyes
Mal
is
Blue
not you.
Eyes. Yeah, yeah. How much of Mal Blue Eyes is you? How much is it like maybe a compartmentalized portion of you, or how much of it is a projection or a character?
Very little of it is a character.
Mm,
There's not really much that I put on. I may exaggerate certain things, just so that I don't have like a Mallory reaction on camera, right? Because like Mallory,
do tell.
she gets disappointed like all the time when things don't
Mm,
go right,
okay.
right?
That sounds
Mallory gets
familiar,
very
if I'm honest.
disappointed.
Yeah.
But Mal Blue Eyes, she'll rage and it'll be funny
Okay.
most of the time.
Mm,
So it's taking the negative things about yourself and trying to, you know, turn them into something content worthy that people can relate to, people can refer to, and maybe camouflaging it a little bit, I would say.
mm.
But who I am on stream and my thoughts on stream and the things that I share about myself, that's 100% me.
Yeah, okay.
But
That's
the reactions, yeah, the reactions that I have to things on a good day, I would say would be Mal Blue Eyes. If I'm having a bad day, it'll be Mallory reactions, and people will know.
I
People
hear
know.
that.
People have seen those reactions, and I'm still not living them down, I don't think. I'm not living them down.
Isn't it fascinating how different negative emotions are more consumable? So something like rage or salt is actually quite an entertaining thing to view or be part of. It's almost like simplified as an emotion, I think. It's very direct, it's very clean. But when you have someone who is legitimately disappointed and feels defeated and feels a sense of failure and feels these really more almost honest self-reflective emotions, people don't want anything to do with that shit. Like they didn't come for that kind of business. Well, I'm sure there's a market for everything, but that's something I've learned. And I've learned that like people like my salt, but they don't like when it becomes too real.
Real. Well, yeah, because it reminds them of the last time they felt that way and takes them to dark places, and that's not why they watch Twitch.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why
It's a very fine line
it's a
that we have to walk.
very, very fine
Very,
line.
very fine line.
It's so fine because you cross over into the disingenuity that
Right.
characterizes a ton of Twitch streams, and I shan't get into a big rant about that because that's been 50% of the content of every episode of content is me ranting about fake people on Twitch. No one specific, but just a culture of it. Is but obviously people are encouraged into that because they realize if you are too, people say just be yourself. It's like, well, just don't be that part of yourself and don't be that part.
Right.
Choose that part and be that part. And
Mm-hmm.
so I
just
can
be yourself, but like just don't.
just don't though. Just play what you want to play in case, unless it's not popular.
Unless it's not what I want you to play.
Yeah, exactly. Play the thing that I want you to play that you mentioned that you kind of want to play.
And enjoy it.
And enjoy it. And don't get salty, but don't get disappointed. Don't get bored. Don't be boring. And so it is. And this sounds like I'm complaining. That's just my general approach to life, is a complaining attitude. But in reality, it is, like you say, a really fine line that we have to walk, and it's. I kind of enjoy the challenge though, in certain
You.
moods. Yeah, yeah. What about you?
Right. No. I am always panicked. If I feel like there's a twinge, that twinge. It doesn't only happen on stream, it happens in life too, where you say
Mm.
something and you're just like, what have I done?
What have I done? Yeah, yeah. I think I've just
I
become
hate
numb to
those words.
those.
Oh,
You
well,
just
it's not me.
you wreck yourself so many times on stream that I had the like one of I took down my first video. In I've been doing this nearly 2 years. I took down my first video because it was one of those moments, and
Oh.
but I don't care.
Hmm.
It's been erased from history. It's fine now. It
Oh,
never
yeah.
it never happened. So you got into streaming. I know
Hmm.
you're a big Stardew fan. Is that how you began? Is that what you began with?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I stream only Stardew.
Mm.
Really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, during October, I tried to do some other things and, I had fun
Mm-hmm.
because it was spooky,
Ah, yeah, Spooktober.
Gotta love Spooktober. Um, but I don't know. There's just something about Stardew Valley that brings really chill people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to your community. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a group of people that were all going to get along with each other, that were all going to be able to relate to each other, and that we're all going to have fun just watching me hang out for
Yeah.
a little bit. When you start working with like cooperative games or competitive gaming, first person shooters, you know, I can't I can't watch chat and also try to kill zombies while defusing bombs. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And chat is much more important to me than content, I would say, because the chat is my community is 90% of my content.
Yes,
I love
and
my community.
and I'm sure that Stardew streams sort of lend into that, right? That you can kind of
Oh,
take it
yeah.
at your own pace, and it's. I'm really happy for you that you were able to sort of find quite like immediately what it is you not only wanted to play but wanted to stream, and what kind of works
Mm,
for you, because I think a lot of streamers starting out and even continuing, even myself to an extent, have this flitting back and forth of, oh, I'll try this, I'll try that out, I kind of want to do this, I'd like to do that, and you find yourself in all these different modes because the game requires a different kind of motor response, a different kinetic response. It puts you in a different mood.
right.
Certain things can and really it fundamentally changes the nature of the interactions,
Hmm.
and so that's been for a lot of people I've spoken to, myself, a big journey. Um, Now, you say community is the majority of your content.
Oh, yeah.
Was this for you? Was this the kind of goal coming in? Was the goal just to have fun and meet like-minded people? Was there like the possibility of maybe a bit of a business thing? Spoilers for me, I'm just in it for the money. That's all I care about. Um, for real. I mean, it's fun, but like, money is good too.
Right.
Uh,
Money is always good.
what was the I don't know if I want to say goal. What did you envision, or what is your kind of vision of what it can be and what you want it to be?
Well, my goal was to stop feeling guilty for procrastinating on editing the novel.
Yeah.
Is That was my goal originally.
Okay.
I Like I said, I mean, I was just wasting away in front of this computer and I had nothing to show for it. And Twitch, if it was successful, would give me something to show for it. So that way, when people came to me and said, "Oh, hey, how's the novel?" I'd be like, "Well, but look at Twitch."
Yeah.
So, but now, I mean, now I want to meet everybody, and I want to get to know everybody, and I like the idea of people. So people will watch me to fall asleep because I stream so late. And I kind of like that. I think that that's a huge compliment.
That's lovely. That's a great compliment.
That I provide such a relaxing environment that people can actually fall asleep to.
And that's important for people as well, to get a good night's sleep. It's stating the bleeding obvious, but not a lot of people are sleeping great these days. And and so that's, as you mentioned, yes. We'll get into that later.
I will.
So
my Red Bull.
That sounds like you've got a lovely foundation in terms of what you've created and what you're going for.
Oh yeah, my community rocks. I love them.
It does seem very cool. Very, very sort of just has the right tone. You can kind of get the tone of someone's chat within a few minutes, and it's very lovely. Unlike my toxic community,
right?
But so let's step back a little bit. Then, are you a private person?
In what sense?
in whatever sense. Well, let me frame this a little bit. Twitch is a bit weird. Streaming is a bit weird, as I'm sure you know. You put yourself on camera and you share your thoughts in real time. Maybe not all of your thoughts, but you share some of your thoughts in real time with with a live audience. Right. Now, when you stream for hours at a time, how many hours would you say you stream a week, by the way?
About, I don't know, maybe between 13 and 16.
Yeah.
I stream on average about 5 or 6 hours a stream and 3 streams a week.
Yeah, so that's similar to me, or I'm similar to that at the moment. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. And like you mentioned earlier, sometimes you might feel on as a streamer, but other times you might not. And there's this feeling of being exposed by your own choice. Obviously, I'm not complaining or whinging. But do you ever feel that it sometimes can collide with a sense of privacy that you might have? Does that make sense, that question?
A bit. No, I'm not a particularly private person. I'm not. I enjoy the idea of people learning from my mistakes. However, I fiercely protect the privacy of others.
Oh, of course.
So
yeah.
When people ask me about my husband, I'm like, oh, well, he's a cool guy.
He exists. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
There are things that, that's not yours to share.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Just acknowledge things, not go into depth with things, or not even, I don't even think people should feel the need to acknowledge things if they don't need to or want to. Right. It's odd though, right? Because you spend so much time with people, but because you don't know everybody, even though it feels kind of intimate, there is kind of there's a line that is not the same. If I were to spend 20 hours with an individual from my chat, perhaps in, whatever, we were traveling together or we were, I don't know, at a restaurant for 20 hours for some goddamn reason.
Give me this beautiful picture. I love it.
Yes. If we were traveling with Porto, traveling through the industrial wasteland that is Melbourne's western suburbs, I would probably share those things with them though, There are people who I would share more with, but because you don't know everybody you don't know everybody and you don't know everybody's intent,
Right.
and people can kind of be not who they say they are. Yeah, it feels better to not share too much. Has that been
Yeah.
a struggle for you at all? Or has that been quite easy to maintain?
No. There's like, it's again, this goes back to the community that I've
Mm,
cultivated.
mm.
No pun intended.
Well, I got it just before you said no pun intended. I see what you did there, a little late.
They know, you know,
Mm.
they pick up on social cues. They have their own boundaries, and they see that I'm respecting their boundaries, so they respect mine. And it's never been an issue, really.
The vast majority
And
of people on Twitch are very understanding
yeah,
of what it is. I've learnt that.
yeah. People will ask about my husband. They'll say, "Oh, how is he? His name is Pac-Man on Twitch. Pac-Man," and like a bunch of numbers I can never.
There's
Um,
always a bunch of numbers. Nice. All right.
and so they'll say, "Oh, where's Pac-Man? Is Pac-Man coming on stream? Where's
Mm.
Ben?" It's just, oh well, he's just
He's living his life.
he's got his own life.
He's alive. Yeah.
Yeah, he's alive.
I've actually had
And then,
a recent well, not a recent influx, but I've got quite a husband wife community actually, of like husband wife duo both being in chat at the same time. I've got or sometimes it's partners, all kinds of romantic love combinations.
nice.
Yeah, just today I sort of put two and two together and realized somebody in my chat was somebody else's wife. I'm like, are you? Like, nice. I think it's lovely. I think it's lovely when people do stuff like that. I think it's lovely that people share. You've been to Kaohsiung?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
Oh, I was only there for a couple hours,
Oh, okay.
but
What was that,
it was
like a
pretty cool.
layover or something?
No, my father was the captain of a ship my
Oh,
entire life,
no
and
shit.
yeah, a cargo ship. So not like a cruise ship. This was not a cruise ship. This was a cargo ship.
Oh, for some reason I thought military, like an admiral or something
No,
like that. No, okay.
no, no.
Mm,
It was a cargo ship. And one summer I went 17, and he
mm.
was on the Far East route, so I went to Guam and Taiwan and Hong Kong and a couple
Tell
different places.
tell me about Guam, because Guam's a peculiar kind of uh, island. It's just there.
Okay, so you can drive around the entire island in like 3 hours. It's
Nice,
very, very small, very tiny,
manageable.
um, manageable, very manageable. Um, there's definitely a military presence there, a United States military presence. Um, Lots of wild chickens,
Yeah, so
lots of wild water buffalo.
this is the impression I get from Google Street View. That's right. I've been in Street View in Guam.
Oh boy.
This is my life. Um, Wild tropical
Yes.
locale,
Hmm.
but then there's like a Denny's.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's bizarre.
It's weird.
It's bizarre.
It's very strange. I again was only there for a couple of hours.
Mm,
Um, I went to see they have a waterfall there called Talifofo Falls,
Talifofo
and it's
Falls.
Talifofo Falls, and it's beautiful. And
Mm.
it's also conveniently located very near this hole in the ground where a Japanese soldier hid for like 5 months eating grubs during the war.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it's crazy. And there's like, no signs, no barriers, no, photo ops or anything. It's just a hole in the ground.
Oh, there's no like plaque. Here
No,
was ex
no,
soldier.
I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
Huh.
It was on a map.
Okay.
And I said, well, that's interesting. And you go and you see, and it's just a hole.
What are we
Ground.
what are we talking in terms of dimensions here? Is this like, could I climb in and out of it with ease?
You could climb in and I could climb in and out of it with ease. You
Mm.
could climb in and out of it, maybe, I mean, if you stretched.
Wait, are you questioning my climbing skills? What?
You're very tall. Climbing skills, it's in the ground.
No, but I mean, if you're in the hole, I'm imagining myself in a hole and like to get
Yeah,
out
no,
of the hole.
it's not like a pit. It's like
Oh.
a tunnel. So like here's
Oh,
the
okay.
ground, here's the entrance to the, so you're just going like that.
Oh,
It's like a
okay.
burrow. It's like a burrow.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's not a pit.
I
It's like a,
That
yeah.
reminds me. I once tried to, when I was a child, when I was 10 years old, I tried, we had this backyard as people used to do in Australia. And
So,
I
so
tr-
sorry they did away with backyards.
they eliminated, yeah, they turned those into an evil. But we had this backyard, and I remember one day becoming convinced that I could dig myself an underground base, basically. And I guess my mother just assumed that I would give up before it became a problem. I got like a fair way down, like enough to bury me alive. But then it wasn't the ground wasn't clayified enough, or calcified or solidified or whatever
Right.
whatever the term is, to not fall from underneath. Because then I wanted to go across. Like now I was down, I wanted to go across.
I can see this. I can see like little tiny baby Porto with his little plastic pail.
These were I think I was using I think it was a spade, even just a little just a little spade like.
Tiny. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna savor that.
The memories.
That image.
The
that
memories,
memory, yeah.
the childlike wonder, the sense of wonder. So
Ah.
let us get back to travels. I want to hear about Hong Kong.
Well, I mean, again, all of these beautiful magical places I was only able to spend a couple of hours in.
What was your impression in those couple of hours of Hong Kong?
Very busy. Smelled beautiful. It smelled beautiful where I was.
Okay, where were you?
I don't know where I was, but it smelled beautiful, and there were BMWs in every driveway.
You're in a nice part of Hong Kong.
I must have
There
been.
were driveways.
I went to Victoria Peak.
Oh, the peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
I got to go there. All in all, I would say it's a place I would never want to live, though. It's just too big, too tall, too many people, very loud. I mean, I would recommend if someone were going on a trip, I would say, yeah, definitely go check it out. I wouldn't, I mean, but it's too much. I am not a city girl.
Aha. Okay. Well, I was going to say there's a type of person that I think a place like Hong Kong would be thrilling for,
Oh, sure.
and then there's a
Not me.
type who is a little overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah. See, like Kaohsiung was palatable for me because
Yeah,
it was busy, but it was more village-esque
it's much more
than
spread out.
city. When we got off the ship, there were people, they were having some sort of festival in the street. There was one of those dragon guys, and there were fireworks, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible!"
That's great.
And then just like that, it was done, and it was just quiet. And I fed my shrimp to a stray cat, you know.
Nice.
But there was a bar. There was a bar in Kaohsiung called Amy's Draft House.
Amy's Draft House.
Amy's Beer and Draft House or something. I don't remember what it was called. But it was a place where my father would go every time he was there, and he would bring us T-shirts home when we were kids, and we, pose for a picture in your T-shirt for Amy's. I don't even know how many Amy's T-shirts in my life.
That's
Maybe
great.
6.
So it was sort of steeped in family tradition. And did you get to visit?
I did. I got to visit, and the woman that was there knew who I was. It was
What?
crazy. Yeah, she knew who I was because there was a picture of me on her wall wearing an Amy's t-shirt.
Wow. Okay.
It was crazy. And she was so excited to meet me. And I didn't know who she was. My father
Mm.
hadn't laid that groundwork out for me. It wasn't like, oh, hey, by the way, there's a woman who works here and she knows everything about you. So she's going to be really super excited when you are, when you're there. And she hugged me really, really tight. And then she dragged me over to the wall and she pointed to my picture.
It's you.
That's you. That's you. And I said, yeah, that's me. That's me. And I'm like looking at my
What is
father and
going
he's
on
like,
here? Yeah.
and I
Bizarre.
just, it hit me that, I was 17 at the time. So
Mm.
for like at least 10 years, there was this woman, this Taiwanese woman who knew who I was and cared about my life to a certain degree, and who watched me grow up through these ridiculous pictures of me and my sister wearing these huge Amy's t-shirts, right?
That's
And
so weird.
yeah,
It's like you, without knowing it, you were a small part of the ambience in a
right.
Taiwanese bar. Like that
I was.
was you were part of this whole life. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot happened in the 10 years at Amy's or whatever, without knowing it. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm wondering if I have anything like that. I definitely haven't come across. I've definitely not had that moment where I've been introduced to myself in a bar on the other side of the world.
Right.
Uh, I think I would remember that, but I wonder if there is a me somewhere on a.
Is there you somewhere?
I don't know. Maybe not anywhere that I haven't been. That would be. I think it's weird when you haven't been there personally.
Mm, yeah,
You
definitely.
never know
It's,
though. There's people who like, oh, dude, the performing artist, the recording artist, Rodriguez. Do you know this Rodriguez? He's sort of like a Bob Dylan-ish style guy. He was There's a documentary about him, and I remember when I was 20 or something like that, we had one of his records in the share house to live in, and we would play it all the time, and it sort of became some of those songs became like the anthem of that summer or whatever. But then years later, I remember seeing this documentary about this guy, and he was a complete musical failure. He wasn't a musical failure, but he was financially a musical failure
oh, okay.
in the US. I think he's from the US, and was living a fairly non-successful recording artist lifestyle.
That's sad.
But all the while, he was huge in South Africa, and he just had no idea that like he was like really big in South Africa. Like he was like one of the big alternative artists there, and this is pre kind of internet-y times.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure what happened with recording labels or how they had access. I can't remember the specifics, but the whole documentary is about them trying to find this guy and trying to get him to do like a tour there, and him not even realizing that he was a big deal somewhere.
Oh, wow. Wait, so he didn't even know he was a big.
I don't think so. No, I mean he eventually, spoiler, he eventually finds
Oh,
out, but
wow. I would hope so.
yeah, it was this whole. I mean, it's been a long time since I've even seen the film, but yeah, he sort of was. That is a thing that can happen. You can leave a mark somewhere without even stepping foot in a place. Which I guess is a dead story now that we got the internet, because we kind of just
Well,
send
yeah.
our images everywhere.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Are your viewers primarily from the US? Or I should say your community primarily from the US?
Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Canada's a close second.
Yep.
And then I'm pretty big in Germany.
Pretty big in Germany. All right.
In Germany.
I don't think I'm particularly large in Germany.
I have a lot of Australian viewers as well.
They're out there. They are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's US and Canada for me, more so than Australia because of the times I stream.
Right.
I intentionally went for the US market. I was like, there's
Good.
more people there, so like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, the majority, I believe the majority of Twitch viewers are from the United States. Isn't that true?
Yes, yes. Well, it's the biggest. It's the biggest group. I'm not sure if it's the
Right.
majority, but it's by far the biggest group. I have to look into that later, actually. But I'm pretty sure you're right.
I'm pretty sure it's the biggest.
Yes, yes.
Right? It has to be.
All right, I'm gonna look it up right
I'm looking into it now.
now.
That's it.
All right, let's do
All
this.
right.
Actually, can you do it? I can't be bothered.
Twitch.
You'll do it more efficiently than I. Is what I'm saying.
Course.
You'll do it far more efficiently
What do
than
I
I.
say? Twitch users by country. Yep, United States 20%. Germany is second with 7.
Germany's second with 7. That's a big drop off.
That is a huge drop off. So the majority, yeah, the majority and the largest. Okay, well, not the majority.
No, but I know it's a big slice of the pie.
It's a huge slice.
Huge slice. Speaking of huge slices, you have quite a chunky cat.
Excuse me.
I don't mean this in a negative,
Are
insulting
you talking
way.
about this cat or are you talking about the orange one? If you're talking about this cat, you need to get glasses.
No, I'm talking about
VR.
the chunky one because I've seen it on your
Okay.
stream before.
Okay. Yes, I do. He's enormous.
Very,
He's-
very cute. Tell
a
us about
legend.
what's your pet situation? Tell us everything.
About the pets. Okay.
Yes.
So I've got 3. I have a dog named Suki, who's old. Very old. She's just turned 12.
That is old.
She's a rescue. They're all rescues.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're all rescues. She loves my husband, and that's it.
Oh, no one else.
No.
Only time for one person.
Just,
Interesting.
yeah, no, she doesn't care about me. She deals with me, you can tell.
Peaceful
She's got
coexistence.
Certain size. You know what I mean? Like you can hear it. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. And then we have that's Panini right there, slumbering softly. She's a staple.
Panini?
On Twitch. Panini, yes,
Nice,
like a
nice.
sandwich. She loves no one
Oh,
and nothing.
does she love herself?
We have recently found out that she does in fact love herself. She will park herself right here in front of me and stare at so my monitors are one on top of the other.
Oh, you got the stacked setup.
I do. I have the stacked setup.
Interesting.
I have the stacked setup. So what she'll do is she'll sit and she'll stare up at the second monitor, and because she's so close, she'll be able to see just from this up. She loves it.
Narcissus.
Oh, absolutely. She would fall in that water.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad that there is at least a love in Panini's life.
Yeah. No, I mean, she loves to hate things. She loves to fear things. She's afraid of everything. You would think this cat was but no, she had a very pampered childhood. She's never wanted for anything. But, regardless. And then there's the legend. His name is Gazpacho, like soup.
Gazpacho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What kind of soup is that? Or is that soup is that just the
is-
word for soup in Spanish or something?
It's a cold soup. It's a cold
A cold soup.
vegetable
Gazpacho.
soup. Gazpacho. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it
It's like
is it just a drink at that point if it's a cold soup?
no. It's like isn't borscht served cold as well?
Oh, I actually had a guy make me a borscht once. I didn't really like it that much. It was a bit plain. But I don't think he was a good cook. He wasn't. I don't think he did a great job of it.
Borscht is like beets and stuff. But gazpacho's like a tomato base.
Okay, that's more my style.
Yeah, mine too. So, but yeah. then
So-
there's gazpacho.
Cats and dogs. So you are a lover of both.
I am. I am. I would say I prefer cats. They're a lot less needy.
Okay. Okay. Do
Not a
you
fan of being needed.
not a fan of what's that, sorry?
Being needed
Oh, I know
constantly.
it's revolting, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
That's gross. Isn't that's the worst that's one of the things that is worst about me as a human being is that I find neediness repulsive,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time I require it to
Feel
satiate
valid.
my ego,
Mm-hmm.
and so so it's this perpetual
And you're
magnetism
single?
and repulsion kind of situation, and I know it, and I can't stop it. Can't stop it.
Yeah,
It'll never end. The cycle
I
will continue.
understand.
Yeah. Um,
I'm not a, yeah. No, I would say I'm in the same. I wouldn't say to that degree,
mm,
I wouldn't say I'm repulsed by neediness.
mm,
And I wouldn't say that I need it to feel any sort of validation.
mm.
But it's nice to be needed. It's just not nice to always be needed.
Yes, big distinction. Big distinction.
Mhm.
And I'm jesting. I've been lucky. I've
Obviously.
been lucky enough to have a nice amount of need in my life, in many different forms of relationship. Um, but I have definitely felt myself disgusted at what should be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, but that's just because, whatever it is has gone a little over. Needs to be
Yeah.
checked.
Can I ask you? And this is a bit of a non sequitur, but
I'm listening.
what is it that you have been writing?
Mm,
That's a very, I know that's a wildly open ended question, but I want you
yeah,
to,
that's like the
to
first
answer it in
question.
any, I can be more specific if you want, but I'm just going to leave it open for now.
Are you talking about like what like this thing that that they're reading on the channel, or are you talking about like
I'm
the
talking about the
book,
manuscript.
the manuscript? Oh
Mm,
boy.
mm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know
It's
how to
it's
describe
a
it.
horrible question,
It's
isn't it?
hard. It's hard to answer that kind of question because
Mm,
I am very much in the camp where I can't define my work,
mm,
right?
mhm,
I
mhm.
can't define my own work. That's something that needs to be left to the readers and, you know,
What is it to you?
to me,
Mm,
I think it's kind of a way for me personally to confront how I feel about certain things like social
mm.
media specifically and the amount of power that we place in the hands of influencers.
Okay. Okay,
I mean,
this is
it's a
interesting.
satire, like I had mentioned in one of your streams. It's a it's dark, but it's funny. It's a bit satirical, I would say.
Okay. Uh,
So it's not like Instagram bad.
Well,
Read more.
I imagine it'd have to be a little more nuanced than that at
Yeah.
at the novel length. So would you say it was you trying to explore your own feelings is part of the process and trying to understand, are you trying to understand it, or are you trying to understand how you feel about it, or what is the quest?
Well, I think I'm more interested to know how other people feel about it.
Mm,
That's why I wrote it.
mm.
Because I'm pretty sure I know how I feel about social media.
How do you feel
And
about
I'm
social
not
media?
sure. I'm sorry?
Continue, I'll ask again. Didn't mean to butt in.
I'm not sure the majority of us really know how we feel about social media
Mm,
at its core.
mm,
Like we know how convenient it is and we know
mm-hmm,
how much we love it, but we don't really know how we feel about it, I don't think. And
mm-hmm,
so I wanted to write something that was the opportunity to kind of like check in with themselves a little bit
mm.
and maybe get a firmer grasp on hello, just how important, you know, It is.
Yeah, it is. It's
Because at the end of the day, it's a tool, you know, and it's all
very,
about how you
very,
use
very
it.
powerful tool. Yeah.
Very, very, very powerful tool, and it's
Yeah.
what you do with that kind of guides your opinion on it, I would say.
Now, what I was going to ask is, and I know that this is probably opening several cans of worms.
Oh boy.
Um, how do you feel about social media?
Well, I personally, I'm not a huge fan of social media.
Mm,
Um, just because I find it to be like what we were just talking about. It's very needy, right?
mm, hmm.
Like my relationship with social media started with Facebook back when you could only have a Facebook if you went to college.
Wow, I don't
Do
even
you
remember
remember
those
that?
days. No,
You don't remember those
no,
days?
I was a late bloomer when it comes to Facebook, so it was
Oh,
long gone at
okay.
that stage, I imagine.
Well, I remember when I got my college acceptance letter, we all went to school the next day, our little high school senior class. Oh man, did you sign up for Facebook? Because you couldn't have one without being enrolled in college without having a college email. And that was when Facebook was its best. The second they opened it up to anybody and everybody, it just plummeted,
Yeah,
I
well,
would say, in my opinion.
how would you characterize it in those early days? What would you find on it?
It was legitimately a way for you to meet other people that went to your school. That's what it was.
Oh, so
That's
yeah,
what it was.
in the way that these things were, that any form of technological communication was kind of supposed to function. It was often like call somebody, get somebody's number so you can arrange to meet up and hang out, or
Right,
meet up and do this shared interest together, or come join this thing, and as a means of physically connecting people in social
right.
circles. Okay.
So, yeah, like when I moved into my dorms, my roommate and I spent like 2 hours on our Facebook accounts. Oh, look, this girl lives in our dorm. Let's send her a message. Meet her in the common room. Oh, we're gonna go down to freshman orientation together. This is so exciting. That's what it was in the early days. At least as far as I was concerned. I don't know if other people feel differently about the early days of Facebook. But I met a lot of the people that I became friends with for 4 years through Facebook. Otherwise, I never would have known them because they were, you know, in science classes or math classes or history classes, and we wouldn't otherwise have probably met.
Now that you speak of it in these terms, it actually seems kind of great.
It was it was great.
Yeah, that seems like a great tool.
It was great,
And
and now it's
well,
I can't.
it's I don't want to say ironic. There's a better way to put it, but I will say ironic that now it seems more to be a vessel of division,
Hmm.
and which I'm sure you don't need to hear from me, but
I haven't looked at my Facebook account in at least 6 years.
when did I last? I last logged into Facebook so I could get Messenger on my phone.
I
Because
don't even have Messenger on my phone.
yeah, that's just how some of my friends choose to communicate. So that's fine. Messenger Lite. That would have been over a year ago, and I last probably used. I never posted anything. The thing that was always a bit weird for me, and again, it sounds a little rich coming out of the mouth of the streamer, the man boy, baby boy streamer that I am, but I didn't want to ever share anything.
Mm.
I was like, why do I what am I sharing? Like, and obviously the joke at the time was people sharing their breakfast and oh, isn't that
Oh yeah.
insignificant? And yes, that is insignificant, but also I think my opinions on bigger things are insignificant because I sort of would envision it as this space if you could sort of put it in a physical space where everyone's just like walking in there, there's no conversation. It's like, "Ah, what about this? Look at this. Hey, look at that. Ah, fuck, isn't this cool? Oh, I hate that shit. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at me at my wedding. This be and no one, there's no conversation or dialogue. It's just this assumption that anybody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And then
you are, and that what you have to say is important.
Yeah.
And that's just not, I'm sorry.
And that comes with the generation of marketing that came alongside it. Suddenly it's the iPhone, it's YouTube. Everything was pronoun based because it's all about, it's your world. You are the center of the universe, and all that matters is how you can express yourself as a consumer. Right. And that was a huge shift. And I don't think I have fully even grasped. I think it's bigger than the average person does, but I don't think that I've fully grasped the ways that it has changed everything around, like the more subtle ways it's changed everything around me, as combined with the big ways, and even the ways it's changed me. Right.
Can you how many times did we have to Google something during this conversation?
Yeah. What? And think about this. We use Google as a verb.
Yeah.
It's just a verb now.
I mean, I know that Google's not social media, but the idea of having everything at your fingertips in terms of, having an iPhone or being able to connect with someone or being able to tell 50,000 people what you are planning on doing for lunch later. It changes the way we talk to each other. It changes the level of respect that we have for each other, I think. It dumbs us down.
And it lessens our faculties. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there.
Well, no, I mean, 100%. Okay. I hate being questioned about something that I know. It's got to be like one of the worst Mallory traits that doesn't often come out on Twitch. And to have someone just not believe me and sit there and say, well, I'm going to Google this.
Oh, that happens a lot, man. That happens a lot.
All the time.
That happens all the time.
Where did we lose our faith in one another?
That's some fucked up shit, because that is almost deification of technology. That is the God that knows everything. I love it when Google's wrong about something. Like, I love it when someone's like, but Google said they'd be open and they weren't. I'm like, yeah, because Google doesn't know fucking everything. This dependency that like I guess you were talking about neediness, where people, it's so common nowadays for people, and some people just generally don't have a great sense of direction. That's fine, but it's so common for almost everybody now to have a terrible sense of direction because of Google Maps.
Oh yeah, right. Do you remember MapQuest? That was before GPS, Garmin's, Google Maps. There was this thing called MapQuest.
MapQuest.
Oh my god! Yes, you would type in the address you want to. You would print out the directions. And you would always get lost, no matter what. And you would be sitting there at whatever intersection between I don't know where I am and how do I get out of here Boulevard. And you would just be screaming at the top of your, I will never use MapQuest again. And then the very next weekend,
back on that shit.
This better work. If this doesn't work, I'm never using MapQuest again. That was like a year of my life as a licensed driver. And then finally someone developed Garmin GPS systems. You could just plug into your cigarette lighter.
Hey.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah. Classic. That's a product of its time.
Oh yeah. And you were and that's when we stopped being able to read maps.
We stopped being able to read maps because we outsourced that muscle, that brain, that part of our brains to digital brains, or I don't know, technological brains. And the same comes with so many things that we had as humans. We're such a versatile species. We're quite adept and capable. Conversational skills, I think they've gone out the fucking window. I even think my conversational skills, that's part of why I do this, is so I can continue having real conversations with people. Seriously, because conversational skills, I think, have died with some people. Some people can't interact without regressing to phone and shyness and this is not to be mean to those people or say they're inadequate some way, but it's I think people escape challenging conversations sometimes. They'll sometimes, there's some people who, in lieu of thinking of something to talk about, will pull up like a funny video.
Mm-hmm.
There's this, it's like,
it's a crutch.
It's absolutely a crutch. Yeah.
Social anxiety is huge.
Do you think it's bigger now, or do you think you think you do? Because I'm not sure, but I lean towards it is.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Oh man. I mean, I guess outside of everything we just talked about, right? Which is that we've put so much of our lives online, I think deep down a lot of us still realize that we're really not that important.
Yeah.
And it is important to feel important. And so that mixed with just how disconnected we are from each other because of things like social media, I think just makes things 10 times louder.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I don't know how vague that was. I don't even think I was listening to myself as I was talking.
No, I think it was sufficiently vague, the right amount of vague.
Excellent. I learned from the best.
Hey, what?
Hey.
No, I'm actually, no, I'm thinking about what you said there. I'm thinking about it. So people realize that they're not important.
Mm-hmm. Because, there are things like thumbs up and thumbs down and hearts and smiley faces. And if you don't get, that recognition, then that's when that anxiety starts to creep in.
Yeah, it's been quantified.
Mm-hmm.
It's been gamified and quantified and all the other odds.
I mean, like, I feel it on Twitch. I 100% feel it on Twitch. Every single streamer I know says the same thing. Oh, I don't look at my numbers. I look at
them all the time.
I look at them all the time, Porto. I look at them every day. And I look at them like this. And I go, nope, that was higher yesterday. That was a lot higher yesterday. Mm-hmm. What's going on? Who's doing what? Who's my companion? Mm-hmm. I feel that. That is my life. And that is that social anxiety. Because it's never, it's never, why is this game not doing well? Or what's wrong with this day in particular? Maybe Monday's just slow. It's always, what did I do wrong?
What am I lacking? What are my insufficient skills or charms or whatever? Yeah.
Right.
That's.
Do I need to be funnier? Was this shade of lipstick not right? Do I need to make sure that my glasses are whatever? Should I do my hair up or down? It's got to be something about the way that I sound. Something about the jokes that I think are funny. It's never just. It was a Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the majority of people now. Obviously, not everybody streams, but in life in general, it's, I didn't get the reaction I was looking for. I didn't get the recognition I was looking for. What did I do wrong?
That kind of speaks of a spiritually dead society. And I only half know what I'm talking about, maybe a quarter. But if we're seeking...
The other 3/4 is dead.
Exactly. It died a long time ago. if we're looking for external worth from external sources,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't find anything inside of ourselves. And I don't mean to sound like some kind of preacher, because I experience this. I totally understand what you're saying. That's something missing from ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's a bottomless pit. You know, I do say to myself that I'm in it for the money and not for the, streaming for me was a fun thing to do. It was a fun hobby. And then I realized I could commodify it a little bit. And then I was like, holy shit. Okay, off we go. And I'm fairly honest about that. And it's to the point that that's kind of a bit embarrassing, because the likelihood of me actually making any significant money off it is quite low, as it is for any streamer. But
Yeah.
despite that desire for the bucks, and despite that being the most important metric to me,
Mm-hmm.
the other things lead to it. So you can't get to that without the things that are more about your person, or without the things that you can't associate with your person, like viewers, follows,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all these kind of hours watched, yada, yada, yada.
It's that line between like instant gratification, right? And 10 years from now. Of course, we've all got something missing.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
At least one thing that's missing.
There's a whole catalog of things missing from me.
It's all different shapes, and we just keep grabbing things and trying to cram them in and make them fit so that it feels better.
Yeah.
And we don't. It's scary to sit down in front of a mirror. It's scary.
It
And
really is.
the people that I attract on Twitch, I feel are excellent mirrors for me to look at, because they, you know, there are things about me that they connect with, which means that we're similar in a lot of different ways, and it's nice to have those qualities reflected back, because it reminds me, you know, oh hey, that's right, you're cool. How did you forget?
Yeah. Yeah. There are, it is really important, I think, the people you're surrounded with, or you surround yourself with. And I think the moments, despite what Twitch is, and in that in many ways it's dehumanizing,
Yeah.
some of the best moments are humanizing. When, I don't mean when someone shares a sob story or something like that, but when people feel free to share their vulnerability and their imperfections. I like to hope that to some extent I am too. That's when I say that this is worth it. This is worth it. When people can let go of masks after a while, even though they're under the mask of a username and all this. Sometimes people will write just a very true statement about themselves or about an opinion of something, and it's, even if it's an opinion, it's true because it comes from an honest place in their hearts. And those are the moments that I sort of hold on to for dear life amidst all the rest of the other trash that goes on. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking so much about the fact that once we started talking about social media, there's so many ways we could go with that. There's so much to speak about. I just started ranting about certain perspectives and certain ways I think it's fucked us. And then there's the interesting fact that we're kind of a part of it now, and we've kind of bought in.
That's the ironic part for me.
Right. Was that a conscious decision? I was about to ask.
Not totally. No. I mean, I don't want to like, obviously I don't want to say what the book is about, you know. I
Can't
don't
spoil
want
it.
to, you know, with the plot or
Hmm.
whatever, but
Hmm.
it is once okay, I was battling between when and if. We'll go with when. We'll be
When, yes,
optimistic.
when. It's when.
We'll go with when.
It's a win.
When it gets published and when people read it, uh, I have a feeling that people are going to be like, wait a second. Mm.
Oh,
And I don't know how I'm going to answer questions.
because
People,
you're engaging in a similar thing right now yourself in real life. Yeah.
yes. And this is not,
Research. Research.
but the thing is that I wrote it,
Don't tell them that.
but everybody knows already.
All right, you screwed.
Yeah, I'm totally screwed. I, if I can just say, I never expected to be where I am currently, ever,
In
ever.
in terms of what you're doing, or in terms of the
Yeah.
stream, or yeah.
In terms of what I'm doing,
Mm.
I never expected to be sitting, you know, playing video games for people.
Yeah. No, neither
I
did
mean,
I. Neither did I. I can
obviously,
understand
it's
that.
more than that. It's so much more than that,
Mm.
what we do. But the long and short of it, the way my parents would describe it to their friends, what's Valerie do again? She plays video games for people to watch, you know?
It's a very strange phenomenon to explain to people
Hmm.
who don't know. But what hasn't been strange in the past few years? If
Mm,
ever there was a time for it,
right.
I would not have done it either if certain things hadn't have happened globally. No chance. No chance.
Oh, yeah.
I liked game. I didn't just decide I liked gaming. I liked gaming. It was a pastime of mine. You probably couldn't even guess that I like gaming from the way that I
I
react to
would
them on
not
my stream.
guess.
I've hated games for 20 years now. Uh, 20 long years. But it is a weird phenomenon doing it, and but there was a curiosity for me, and
Mhm.
it's another type of experience, and now I've kind of become invested in this. Um, where do you think where do you think Twitch or streaming goes? Do you think this is something that's here to stay, or do you think that this evolves in some way, or devolves in some way, or dies out?
I think streaming is going to remain a constant,
Mm,
but I see it. It is a platform. I mean, like, yeah, obviously Twitch is a streaming platform, but I mean, like figuratively,
mm.
this is it's a springboard. You know, you start off streaming, and then you use that momentum to get success, you know, through other means.
To launch your pro wrestling career.
Well, yeah.
uh, okay, so that's how you view it, as kind of as like a potential ins.
It is. I
Mm,
do. I think
mm,
so. I think it is.
mm.
Yes, it has crossed my mind that when I'm finally ready to start shopping for agents, I can say I have 900,000 million people on Twitch because, like, that's how popular I am.
Naturally.
I
Yeah.
have, you know, this many people on Twitch who know that I'm a writer who will buy this book. Do you know?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
How
Who are invested in?
it could work?
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's crossed my mind. Now, I'm not saying that it's something that I'm counting on. I'm not saying that I am,
Mm.
you know, that that's why I'm doing this. You know, because obviously the reason I'm doing this is so that I don't have to edit my manuscript, so that I can feel some sort of, I don't know, purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do feel since I started streaming and since I've met all the wonderful people that I've met, that I've
Mm.
served some sort of purpose. I make people laugh.
Of
I
course.
sleep, but
Of course,
I,
when people come back, if people come back,
yeah.
you're serving a purpose. You're something that you're I don't want to say a participant. You're a factor in people's daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
And call it entertainment, call it friendship, call it pseudo entertainment, friendship, whatever it is. Even being, I imagine I'm background noise for a lot of people.
Yeah. For me, for sure.
That's fine. Yeah, thanks for that. But I actually don't mind that. Even if you mean that, I actually don't mind that. That's okay.
No, you would never be background noise. You're too loud.
I'm mid-ground noise. You can sort of engage in other tasks and then occasionally jolt it in when I clip. My microphone clips every 5 minutes.
Yeah, when you rage.
Yeah, it's that's been a thing lately with me, honestly. I haven't always been like that. I've lent into it a bit. That's been a recent. Some of the games I've been choosing have just been driving me fucking crazy. And yeah, you know how that goes. No, you don't. You play fun games. You have relaxing times.
I play Stardew Valley. You need to play Stardew Valley with me, Porto.
Yeah, but you know what will happen?
It's gonna happen.
If my viewers don't turn up and watch, I'll rage at Stardew Valley. I'm that good at raging. I do a little thing, and I haven't told you about this, so you might not be happy about this, but that'll make for good content. I do a thing now on this podcast, content and other dirty words, and I call it the quiz.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's the quiz I do. It's a multiple choice quiz. It's just for fun. We don't remember any. It's more so people can play along at home. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to participate in the quiz? It's 5 multiple choice questions that I've tailored to you.
Oh, no.
I didn't tailor them that well. That's okay.
If you ask me anything about 18th century British literature, I'm going to reach through this camera.
Oh, fuck no. No. I got to keep it relatable. I got to keep it relatable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm ready.
And look, if it's disastrous, we'll just delete. We'll just cut it. It never happens. We'll cut. If it's a disaster, we'll cut it. Yeah, it's fine. We'll fix it in post.
Like a robot
It'll
voice
be.
Come on, say like the right answer.
Okay. Question number 1.
Okay.
The first question is actually about Stardew Valley.
Just spit it out.
Specifically, the chickens in Stardew Valley.
Hey, okay.
So I've done some research.
Mm-hmm.
Stardew Valley, in Stardew Valley, the video game, the computer game for consoles and PCs, there's generally 2 colors of chicken, brown and white. Am I correct so far?
Yes.
Okay. Apparently, according to my sources, there is a way to get a 3rd color of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, and it's a multiple choice, which of the following colors is this chicken?
Okay.
Can you get a red chicken, a blue chicken, or a green chicken?
Well, the answer is blue, but you can also get a black chicken.
That's 1 for 1. See, I thought you might have gotten that. I'm like, I know you're a big Stardew person. I don't know how deep the deepness of the depths goes, but I've seen the type of speed runs you do. I figured you'd get that one. Tell me about this black chicken, though. My research didn't encounter this information.
So the black chicken is called a void chicken.
Void. I'll take some notes.
Yeah.
Void chicken.
What happens is, so like every night on Stardew, there's chances for random events to happen, and it's all RNG based, and it's all where things are. You happen to be on your farm at that particular moment,
right?
And there's an event that happens where if you have a coop, right, and your chickens have laid eggs, but you haven't collected them yet, they're sitting on the bottom of your coop, and if on that particular night the RNG is shining down on, a witch will come and zap one of those eggs that you've left on your your poop floor, and it'll become a void egg, which is black with red spots. Now you can choose to turn it into mayo, you can choose to sell it, or you can choose to hatch it if you have the upgraded coop.
Okay.
If you hatch it, you get a void chicken.
Okay, then. That's some deep chicken lore right there. And, you know, one thing I learnt in my deep research into Stardew Valley is that there's a lot to the game. There's a lot of Easter eggs and little bits and pieces. There's a ton to it, and that shows that a lot of love was put into it.
Yes, by one person.
One person. Very, very impressive. A game I really love, Hollow Knight, had a 3-person development team, and that's impressive. But 1 person? Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2 of the quiz. I keep calling it the quiz and referring to it as the quiz because I need to say it enough that it sounds right. It still doesn't sound right. In Stardew, you can have children.
Mm-hmm.
There is apparently, according to my sources, a shrine in the game in which you can turn them into something.
Yes.
And what is this that you can turn your children into? Is it A, fish, B, a Christmas tree, or C, doves?
It's doves.
Wow.
Yeah.
You weren't pretending. You know this game. Tell me more.
Doves.
What is this? How do you do this?
So I don't know. I think I've only done it once at all, I'll be honest with you. But you sacrifice something to the shrine of whatever in the wizard's basement, and your children will just literally turn into doves and fly away. But there's an Easter egg where if you have done this and you watch your television on a very specific day in fall, there's an item in the game. There's an artifact in the game called the Ancient Doll. And it is a creepy doll.
Okay.
It'll show up. You'll have an extra channel to watch on your television that day. And when you click on it, the Ancient Doll will pop up on the screen, and there will be like a message from your children who are no longer children. And you'll go up to the television and you'll pull the doll off the screen, and it won't ever happen again. But it's creepy.
It's very creepy.
Oh, it's creepy. I just got chills just recounting that for you.
I just freaked out a little bit hearing it. My goodness. That's kind of like The Ring or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like with the fly.
Yeah. Ugh.
Your nosebleeds and everything.
I saw that at the cinema when I was a kid. Very.
I did too.
Very rough experience.
I couldn't handle it.
It was.
I loved it.
I loved it too, but it hurt.
It was so good.
It hurt me so bad.
I couldn't go home. It was too dark. I had to wait. I had to drive around my.
Well, and the thing is as well, it's normally in that age, the thing I would do to calm myself down from terror would be to turn on the television.
Oh, yeah, no.
But that was the television. That was the source of the terror. So I was fucked. I was screwed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a horror movie buff. So anytime you want to talk about horror movies.
I haven't even taken the obvious cues in the back with Freddy. Is that Drew Barrymore in Scream?
Yeah, that's Drew Barrymore in Scream.
Nice. Great film. That's for our next digital chat. Scream and horror. Question number 3. Twitch is popular. Maybe not YouTube popular, but it's pretty popular. How popular was it? In other words, what was the average concurrent viewer total in the entirety of Twitch? It's a multiple choice. In November. Was it A? So the average concurrent at any moment throughout the entire month. Was it A, 1.2 million viewers? B, 2.6 million viewers? Or C, 4.1 million concurrent viewers?
I have no idea. Let's go middle of the pack. 2 point whatever million?
Is that your final answer?
Oh, shit.
No, it's... Don't take I'm not trying to sway you in any way.
Yeah, is that why you didn't ask me this on the other 2 questions?
No, I'm not playing any mind games here. None at all. None at all. I'm going to take that as your final answer.
Yes.
The correct answer was, in fact, B. 2.6 million viewers. Well played.
I knew it the whole time. I was just playing.
I know you were. You were playing up to the camera. You knew it. As soon as you heard it, you're like, oh, yes, I was researching this last night, hoping this question would come up.
This reminds me. Yes. Exactly.
3 for 3. Already a pass.
Oh, incredible. I had no idea this was being graded.
Oh, it's been graded and recorded for eternity.
God.
Which of these 2 games, of which you're familiar with both of them?
Okay.
Oh, okay. I should frame this a little. I like Metacritic scores. I like analyzing Metacritic scores. It's a weird hobby of mine. It's not really a hobby. It's just one of the ways I procrastinate.
A lifestyle.
As I look at, it is a way of life. I like to see what critics say versus what people say and try and paint a cultural picture of how art is perceived in this wild world we live in. So, with that in mind, which of the 2 following games has the higher Metacritic user score? Not critic score,
Okay.
User score.
Okay.
Is it A, Stardew Valley? Or is it B, Animal Crossing's New Horizons? I always say Animal Crossing's. Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I've never played Animal Crossing.
What do you think the people think? What do you think the users think?
Well, users probably... I'm going to say users probably prefer Animal Crossing. Oh God, what was that? What was that look? I saw your eyebrows.
There's no look. There's no look.
It was like a. We're cutting this.
There's no look. There's no look. I assure you. I assure you, there's no look.
I saw it.
We'll cut that part out, and then it'll be known there was no look. We'll keep everything but the alleged look that never happened.
Oh, I'm so excited to be painted as the hysterical.
Yes, yes. So there's a big difference in this one.
I mean, people. Okay, can I just say, before you reveal the answer, people love Stardew.
Yes,
they really do. People love Stardew. But people also really love Animal Crossing has been huge.
Animal Crossing has been very big. Has been very, very big.
Right. And it's so easy to visit with your friends in that game. And it's, you can do more things and you can customize more things. So, and I think maybe but I feel like Stardew probably has the higher Metacritic.
From the critics?
Critics.
Well, let me reveal this to you. The average Metacritic score for users of Animal Crossing was 5.5 out of 10.
No way.
Not very high. That's based off thousands of scores.
You're kidding me. Really?
Stardew Valley is 8.8.
Oh, yeah. Well, Stardew definitely absolutely kicks Animal Crossing's ass.
The people know. The people know. And let me tell you, having played a little bit Animal Crossing, there's not more you can do. You can't do anything in that game. It's just collecting stuff. It's just collecting things. There's no game. And when you get stuff, you can't even interact with it. Like, it'd be like, oh, I can set up this swing, and you can't even get in the swing. Like, you can't do, it's just there. It felt so static to me. And I wouldn't even go so far to say it's the worst game, because I don't even think it is a game. It's not it's like an interactive slideshow. I'm serious. I played enough of it to know.
Oh my god, that was incredible.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that anyone who likes
Oh.
it should stop liking it, because we're all allowed to like whatever we like, and that's okay. You're still a human being with feelings, hopes, dreams, emotions, and I respect your humanity. But Animal Crossing is not a game. And Stardew Valley, from what I've seen, it's a game.
Yeah, Stardew's a game.
It's a game.
Sure.
It's a game. There's like a dating sim part. There's the harvesting, resource management part. There's mechanics in that game.
Why on earth is Animal Crossing so popular right now? Then
I think it had a pacifying effect on people who wanted to be lulled into. It's sort of like the same reason people like ASMR. It's sort of. I think it made people feel calm and relaxed in these turbulent times.
Well, damn. Please forgive me, Concerned Ape. I never once doubted you.
Is this a known hater of Animal Crossing?
No, Concerned Ape is the developer of Stardew Valley.
Oh shit! Shout outs to Concerned Ape. Nice using it. Shout outs. So, good news: Stardew Valley blew it out of the water. Bad news: 3 out of 4.
I got it. Yeah.
Silver lining though. Okay, final question. The most popular category by far on Twitch, by far in terms of average viewers, is just chatting. This is the most popular of all the categories by quite a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think any of these other games you play, given that you're a Stardew player, and I don't really play them either, but I'm sure you have an idea of what they are.
This quiz is rigged.
Which of the...
I
did Stardew questions for you. Rigged. Which of the following games is the current, as of today, number 2? And I don't mean just today, I mean over a period of at least a couple of weeks. It's not some event. Is it A, Grand Theft Auto 5, B, Valorant, C, League of Legends, or D, Minecraft? What are all the kids playing on Twitch? How in touch with the Zoomers are you?
What? I don't think it's Valorant.
We can go by process of elimination here. You hate me.
I want a divorce.
Oh, we just
But we just got married.
we're off to such a good start.
That's it. We're playing Hanabi. I'm gonna go with Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay.
Screw it.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto 5, you say?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
So the most popular game category on Twitch is not Valorant. It is not Minecraft. Nor is it League of Legends. It is Grand Theft Auto 5. Nicely played.
Yes.
Yes. Well done. What made you choose that?
I've seen it a lot recommended to me, and I'm like, why do I?
They're recommending Grand Theft Auto 5 to you? They don't even recommend it to me. Damn.
They recommend it to me. I don't know. Maybe I have a.
You may like it. It does say a lot, right? That, and it counts for 6.5% of all Twitch viewers are on Grand Theft Auto.
Wow.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto 5. A game that's been around for over a decade, I think, now.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
What it tells me is that not as many people want to build things.
Mm-hmm.
Not even as many people want to shoot people in a war situation, like in a battle, in a place where shooting is okay. tells me that people want to cause havoc in regular town. Like, people want to tear up society.
I don't know about that.
No, I think it's the sandboxy nature, and I think there's a lot of mods to it, and I imagine it's very open-ended. I think people like to role-play it as well.
Oh.
Which of those 4 games would you, if you were forced at gunpoint to play one for a month, would you choose? Not that that's something that's going to happen, but...
I don't know anything about Valorant.
It's a pew-pew, shoot people, run around kind of thing.
I mean, aren't they all, with the exception of Minecraft?
LOL. No, LOL is like... I wouldn't really know how to describe it. It's sort of like an isometric view, team, choose people, battle them, sort of real-time strategy sort of thing. Yeah, team, yeah.
Probably Grand Theft Auto 5. I would probably play that.
So what you're saying is you're a normie and you're part of the problem.
Believe it or not, I don't only play Stardew and games like Stardew.
What other kind of games do you play?
I play first-person shooters. Like Borderlands 2 is probably one of the greatest games ever.
So fun. So fun. That's my kind of shooter.
Yeah.
Because it's not real.
Left 4 Dead any day.
Left 4 Dead, yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm not a great first-person shooter, but I do love the ones that have something extra to them. Like, I love that looty, upgrade my weapons, kind of like love nerding out over that shit.
Are we just going to glaze over Handsome Jack?
I'm going to admit something to you.
All right, you choose your next words carefully.
No,
please.
I don't have to, because it's pure honesty. When you said glazed over quite well, I was glazed over the entire time because my friend and I, who used to play this, we co-opted through it together at his house after work. He lived around the corner from me, and he was going through a big bong smoking phase, and so we would get so fucking baked. We played through the entire Borderlands 2, and I remember nothing except that I liked upgrading my weapons and turrets. And I know Handsome Jack is the antagonist, I believe, but
he is. He is the best antagonist.
I don't remember. I'm sorry. So I was glazed over the whole time. I was baked.
You and I are playing Borderlands 2 together, Porto.
Let's do it. I actually started playing Borderlands 1 with a couple of my mods the other day. It was really fun.
Oh, yeah? Is that what you... No, you were playing Tabletop Simulator.
We finished off with some Borderlands.
Oh, okay. Well, I beg you, please let me be there when you re-experience Borderlands 2.
Let's do it. I got people that could join. That sounds really fun. But let's end this episode of content because now we're just organizing our lives in private, in public. So, Mal, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your day, or your evening rather, or whatever time it is there, some kind of time.
Currently 2 a.m.
Nice. Thank you so much. I hope this hasn't been too painful. I would love to have you back sometime. I want to talk more with you, more about social media. That's what I would love to talk more with you about.
Okay.
Because that's a topic that I think...
Like here or like here?
Both.
Gotcha.
Both. Where can the 9 million viewers of content find you?
On Twitch.
Mal Blue Eyes at twitch.tv. Nice. Yeah, that's the point where you're supposed to be like, catch me on Twitter, Insta, WeChat, Line, TikTok. Okay.
Catch me on Twitch, Mal Blue Eyes.
Catch me on the Twitch. I will leave links.
Mal Blue Eyes, yeah.
I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you so much for listening. And oh, I didn't thank you for listening to me. I was thanking the people who listen to the bloody podcast. But thank you for listening when I speak as well. And
you're welcome, Porto.
And thank you for talking, because I liked listening to that. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone involved. And I'll see you next time. Bye.